Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. Now, Nigeria and Brazil have signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at boosting agribusiness across all 774 local government areas in Nigeria. This partnership seeks to strengthen Nigeria's agricultural sector through knowledge sharing, capacity building, and investment. The agreement was signed between the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and the Fundação Getúlio Vargas of Brazil. This collaboration is expected to enhance agricultural productivity, improve food security, and create employment opportunities in rural areas. The pact will also facilitate the transfer of technology and best practices in agriculture from Brazil to Nigeria, which will help modernize Nigeria's agricultural sector. Now let's talk this through. We have joining us via Zoom from Osun State, is the co-founder of Cattle Foods and Agro-Allied Global Concept Limited, Pelumi Aribisala. Thank you so much for joining us on TVC Breakfast this morning, Mr. Aribisala. You know, I would like to start off with you as someone deeply involved in Nigeria's agribusiness. How do you, view the potential of that Nigeria-Brazil Green Imperative Program to transform agricultural produce or practices across all the 774 local government areas?
All right. Thank you very much, Ibrahim. It's nice being with you on the show this morning. I'll say that as an agri practitioner in Nigeria with over 16 years experience, I will say that, well, this is a welcome development. It's a very welcome development for Nigeria to try to learn best practices from people or from countries who have results to show. However, it's not just about the excitement, but then we have some concerns. Or personally, I would say I have some concerns. I have some concerns having seen different bilateral agreements or pacts or MOUs that Nigeria have signed in the past. So it's not about just signing an agreement to say, oh, we want to bring in this investment into the country to revolutionize agriculture. It's about the details of implementation. On the face value, it's a welcome development. I'll tell you, it's very welcome. But then a quick agreement of that like that comes to mind is the Nigeria-China currency swap. While I don't want to be a prophet of doom, I just want to play a little of devil's advocate to say, well, we've heard of agreements like this in the past. When the currency swap between Nigeria and China, when the agreement was signed many years ago, a few years ago, everybody was happy, especially because we know how import dependent our economy is. And we believe that, that could give some leverage. So this agreement coming, yeah, it's good. We are in a food crisis. We are in a terrible situation with respect to food production and productivity. And so perhaps that could help us to take it more seriously. If we take it more seriously, 4.3 billion naira invested into agriculture sector is a good deal.
All right, so let's talk about, look, in talking about this deal, like you have mentioned, it's quite a good deal on its face value. But what specific challenges in Nigeria's agricultural sector do you hope that this partnership will address?
Okay, thank you. If you look at whatever is going to address depends on the details of the MOU, because it is the investor that is going to decide, just like donor funding, it's the investors that is going to decide that this is the area that I want to invest in. And that would be born out of their own due diligence to see what are the challenges in the Nigerian agricultural sector. To be very honest with you, every sector of the Nigeria, or every part of the Nigeria agricultural sector in the last 10 years has been greatly affected. So any part of this sector that an investor is bringing funds into is a good one for the investor. However, the investor will want to also look at what are the low-hanging fruits, what are the immediate, what are the medium term, and what are the long term. I believe all these in the details of the MOU will be able to speak to that. However, if we look at the three MOU has highlighted, they've highlighted the area of fertilizer production, they've highlighted the area of hybrid seed production, and they've also highlighted the area of agri-financing. For me, I would say that of these three, the areas that require very quick urgent attention would be the area of fertilizer and also agri-financing. Will these investments be able to help smallholder farmers who are the backbone of the Nigerian agricultural sector access fertilizer at affordable rates? Affordable rates that is able to also help them use the right quantity of fertilizer and then increase their productivity per hectare. It's not like we are not producing in Nigeria. The challenge most times has always been with the yield per hectare. Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world, largest producer of yam. We produce maize, we produce rice, and all of that. But when you put us side by side with other economies, other countries, you realize that our yield per hectare is about the lowest. And this has to do with the good agricultural practices that our farmers don't really take seriously. Well, it's not their fault too, but because they don't have that right financing to be able to take that seriously. For example, an hectare of maize is expected to use about, say, 200 kg or 250 kg of nitrogen-based fertilizer, NPK, for example, which is about 5 bags. But how many smallholder farmers, even the commercial farmers, how many farmers in Nigeria are able to afford this when the price of fertilizer moved from about 18,000 naira per bag last year to about 48,000 naira per bag this year? So that is why I would say that the areas that this MOU or this investment has to really concentrate on quickly will be in the area of this fertilizer production to make it affordable, and also agri-financing to make the players, the value chain actors in the different local governments or different value chains to be able to access the right finance, affordable finance that can boost agricultural productivity. It's unfortunate that the Nigeria financing system that has received a lot of patent and subsidy and support from the government over the years are not supporting agriculture the way it should be. $4.3 billion coming into Nigeria is not something that all the banks in Nigeria can rally around and say we are investing this into agriculture. But then it's a good one that we're having this MOU. Right. I hope we can also come up quickly to say these are the timelines and these are the milestones.
Absolutely.
So that we can also track.
Yeah. We'll definitely look at some of the things that you feel that how long do you think this is going to take. But I understand the fact that you're treading with caution because of the fact that we've always had different pacts, different agreements, different bilateral relations with different countries. But from your perspective, what other infrastructural gaps do you think that we need to put in place to ensure that we're able to allow this relation, this pact, work in order to help to see to the success of this program in all the 774 local government areas across the country?
All right, thank you, Ibrahim. I'll say that it's an MOU between Brazil and Nigeria, and I'll say that I don't expect Nigeria to wait and see and be waiting that part of this $4.3 billion should be going into road constructions, access roads to the farming areas in these communities. I will not expect Nigeria to sit back and expect that it is from this $4.3 billion that they are going to be putting in place electrification, rural electrification. So I will say that Nigeria, on our home part, our government should ensure that there is good infrastructure, access road. Many times in Nigeria, it's not that we are not producing enough of certain commodities. It's the fact that these commodities suffer as high as up to 65% post-harvest losses. So, and this is because sometimes the farmers who produce and then they are not able to get to the market on time. So Nigerian government on our home part to ensure that in all the 774 local governments, that there is good access road to the farms. There was a time one of the past governors in Osun State used to ensure that the access road to the farms are well taken care of. At least I saw that happen in about 4 years while it was in government. But then, unfortunately, the subsequent governments after that have deviated from that. So it's important that road access is there. It's important that there is good irrigation facilities, irrigation infrastructure. Nigeria should have moved far away from we having to depend on rain. Now, if you go on social media, you will see a few farmers who have access to social media that are lamenting on the sudden stoppage of rains this year. Some have planted, they've applied fertilizer, the maize is about tasseling, and then the rain stopped. If there is good irrigation infrastructure across all the local governments, then you'll be able to manage such challenges. Electricity is very, very important. We know that, yes, taking grid electricity to these local governments, to some of these local governments in Nigeria might be very, very capital intensive, but then we have to start looking at mini grids, solar mini grids, to power farming communities. These are infrastructures that has to be in place. There has to be post-harvest infrastructure. Post-harvest infrastructure, post-harvest logistics, cold vans, cold chain logistics, cold storage for commodities that require such kind of storage, silos. It is important that we also invest in our silos, revive the ones that have been concessioned and moribund. That's why I always say that the Poultry Association of Nigeria slept off when Nigeria was concessioning the silos. The silo is something that an association like that is supposed to have taken charge of. So infrastructure is very key. My company just recently signed an agreement with a community in Kwara State where we are going to be building a farm city. And you need to see how the government of Kwara State was very excited about it. And we're saying, oh, what are the infrastructure that we need? What do we need from them? And all of that. So this is also the side direction I think the Nigerian government should go on this MOU.
All right. So what is the role of stakeholders, including farmers? What role do they play in ensuring that this partnership is successful?
So for the farmers, for example, let's take it from let's take it from the farmers. I'll say that the farmers have to be open to new things. Okay. They have to be open to new things. Yes, something like this is coming. We have a lot of farmlands that are just there, lying fallow for over hundreds of years, and nobody is using. We had a chat with the minister recently, and the minister said, oh, we have about 70 million hectares of arable land in Nigeria. We're just using about 35 and all of that. And the fact is, if you see a farm that is lying somewhere or a bush, and you take your bulldozer there now to start opening it up, the owners of the land will come up. So farmers have to be open to new things, just like what we had with the community in Kwara. We're not buying land from them. We are saying, this is your land that's been there for a while. Let's partner together. Let's collaborate. Be a stakeholder in this investment, in this business. Bring your land as equity, and then let's develop it. And they were open to that. That's a new thing for them, and they want to see how it will work out. Farmers have to be open. In this MOU, it is highlighted that there is going to be investment into hybrid seed production. Then farmers have to do away with, oh, this is the seed we have been used to all along, and that is what we'll continue to use. New seeds, new hybrid seeds are coming up. They have to be open to this so that they can increase their yield, increase their productivity. Farmers also have to be open to the use of technology. New technology. No country will continue to farm with cutlasses and hoes and then will expect that they will feed a population that is fast growing like that of Nigeria. And also, I think in this MOU, other stakeholders like the government, like the investors themselves, They also need to look at agricultural mechanization. There is no way we'll be able to feed our growing population and go out of these food security challenges if we don't mechanize. And mechanization does not necessarily mean bringing in hundreds of tractors. Yes, government said they're bringing 4,000 tractors, some are on their way, but that is still not going to solve the problem. A tractor will not move into a smallholder farmer's field that has just 1 acre or 1 hectare or 2 hectares. Then we need to go the way of China. I'm happy that this is coming from Brazil, and I'm also happy that they are looking at it from the grassroots, the local government level.
That's right.
Where we have failed all the years. So small mechanized machineries, power tillers, slashers, and things like that. And farmers have to be open to accept innovations. And that way, we will hold ourselves accountable. We should hold ourselves accountable. And there has to be sincerity of purpose. I think that is one area that the government has lagged over the years, which makes farmers not to trust them. They have collected data of farmers over the years, and I'm very sure even right now, the Ministry of Agriculture at any level, whether state,
That's right.
federal, or local government, does not have accurate, verifiable data of farmers.
Interesting.
And that is also one of the concerns that who are the people that will be the beneficiaries of this investment that is coming? Maybe the investors have to first look at how can we quickly put together verifiable data of farmers that map them to their farms. We have a program that we do for smallholder farmers. We have more than 1,800 smallholder farmers on the outgrower farmers scheme. And we know all of them to their fields. We are able to map them. So I can sit down in my office and see GPS, know where this farmer's field is, see how the farm is performing and all of that.
Right, Mr.
That's where I'm
Aribisala.
able to target my investment.
Mr. Aribisala, you've actually highlighted the importance of statistics in this matter. Gathering adequate data so that they'll be able to effectively manage this relationship between Brazil on this project. But the Pact actually project 5 million jobs from for maybe youth, for instance. So how can we ensure? Because I can remember way back, was it 2014 or thereabouts, where I met you on the orientation camp, training the youth on Agric and all of that. Some of us went into farming, large scale, whole scale. Some of us are just doing it on the sideline. So how do you think they can co-opt the youth to ensure that they're able to see this opportunity in farming, not just being employed in farming sector, but also become stakeholders in this project in Nigeria's agricultural future?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, we are in the age of advanced technology. When we were growing up and moving into our youthful age, we were hearing that, oh, we're in the age of technology. But right now, we're in the age of advanced technology, very advanced technology, AI age. And for a youth to want to take up agriculture, he has to see that he finds himself comfortable in that space. He must be comfortable in that space. Comfortable not in the sense of, oh, there is a house to sleep, there is this, there is that. He must be able to express himself, express the smart thinking, the things that are going on in his head. And the way to do this is through the use of technology. And that's why I said earlier that farmers must be ready to adopt new things. They must be ready to adopt innovations, technology. For the youth, the thing that will really attract them into this and help create a lasting job is that aspect of technology. We are still relying on tractors, the tractors of several decades ago, when there are tractors where you can even control without being inside the tractor yourself. These are things that can really encourage youth. We see then you have to incentivize that sector. Agric sector needs to be incentivized very, very well. I was reading recently when government said they've saved 20 billion from fuel subsidy removal, and in my mind I was like, why don't you just put this 20 billion you have saved and just put half of it into incentivizing agriculture and see whether the youth will not come in. We have a number of stakeholders in the sector that are focusing on youth empowerment, youth development, and across the country. And these are models that can also be replicated. We have soilers there in Ogun State, that went right there inside the bush and turned that place to a community. If the youth, 1,000 youths, can come every 3 months into the forest, and they are there and they are learning and they are contributing, and some of them are taking that learning and going back to their own community to replicate and practice what they have learned, then you see where technology comes to play. We have youths on our program in Osun State here that come periodically, and then they go back. You see, I can point to a number of them, just like you said, when I came to the orientation camp to train youth corpers in 2014, and I've been training them since that time. And in every batch, you will find the youth that will find their space and will remain there. So technology will have a role to play. And that is why I say farming with cutlasses and all of that is not going to encourage the youth. 5 million jobs through this agreement is achievable, and is achievable within 10 years.
But looking at you're talking about the fact that's achievable within 10 years, how do we now monitor the progress?
There is no way we can monitor any progress if we don't have data. And that's why I said, do we even have verifiable data? So there needs to be a benchmark. There needs to be a baseline to say, okay, this is where this situation was when we came in. And in 1 year, this is where we want to get to. In 5 years, we want to be at this point. In 10 years, we want to have this number of jobs created. So the question is going to be, does the Federal Ministry of Agriculture or the federal government of Nigeria have the data to say that these are the number of youths that we currently have in agriculture today? That's a question that I cannot answer for them. These are the number of youths we have in agriculture today. These are
Well, I think we're having just a bit of a network glitch there. I hope we get Mr. Aribisala back. It was quite very important, topic we're talking about, because everyone always talk about, let's just get to whatever I want to get to, holding pen to paper, not going into agribusiness. This vast opportunities in agriculture.
To ask why you didn't go into agriculture.
I'm into it. Well, I don't need to be saying that on TV, but I'm actually into it. Honestly, I do it on the sidelines. So I farm some of the food that you eat. You don't know.
Well, but also, Nigerians might not want to go into, in as much as people don't want to go into big farming. You can do that on the sideline in your own apartment.
That's right. That's right.
Have
That's right.
small vessels where you plant tomato, pepper. There are things that happen in my household that I am grateful for till now.
That's right.
Is the fact that we planted bitter leaf, and ugu and all of that. So we'll just take from there and use.
And you know how much cost you're saving yourself.
Yes, it's heavy in the market, and so it's important that Nigerians at least take out time, get some space to plant all of these things to be able to ensure food security for yourself and your household especially.
Interesting stuff. Well, unfortunately, we're not able to get Mr. Pelumi Aribisala back, but then he's actually made very, very important contributions to this topic of Nigeria-Brazil Pact, to boost agriculture in 774 local governments. We've been speaking with co-founder, Cattle Foods and Agro-Allied Global Concepts Limited, General Manager, Crest Agro, Pelumi Aribisala. I will say thank you in your absence. Just stay with us here on TVC Breakfast.